Hey, everybody, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm not sure what time zones you guys are in, but we know you have busy, crazy lives just like we do. So we're super grateful that you've decided to spend an hour with us. I promise you it'll be maybe the best hour of your day. We're going to have a really good time. We don't take ourselves too seriously here at Equifax. We have a lot of fun. And hopefully you guys can feel comfortable to contribute and make this more of a conversation than us just talking about Equifax, because that would get real boring real fast. So welcome, everyone. My name is MEREDITH, and I am the Director of University Relations at Equifax. Seriously, the best job at Equifax. Sorry for those of you who are going to apply here in the fall. I already have the best job. And today we're really excited to talk to you a little bit about what it's like to work at our company, what it's like to be in our graduate development programs. And you're actually going to meet some of the women in honor of National Women's History Month, the women who are leading change here and some impact at our company, who are honestly just a year or two ahead of you in this whole game. So I think you'll enjoy that part of the presentation the most. But in order just to get us started, I figure there's probably a burning question on your mind, which is, what in the world does Equifax do, right? And so I hope when our panelists talk, they admit to you guys that they didn't know either. So it's totally fine to come to these events and not have really any idea what the company does. You're in good company with that. So that's me. I'm Meredith, and then Lee Ellis is on the call as well. She works in University Relations. Lee, I don't know if you want to say hello, give a wave.
Yes, hello. My mic doesn't work, so I lean in, so you're going to see my forehead a good bit here. But I do just what it says underneath my name. I am on our talent acquisition team for University Relations, so I help hire some of our internship roles in St. Louis. I run our events, I do some external communications, and then I also run our global talent acquisition social media. And the question I have for y'all, just to put in the chat, if you can, is what school do you go to and what is your degree? So if y'all just want to throw those in the chat, and we'll keep on moving.
Yeah, thanks, Lee. Yeah, Lee's computer, the speaker is broken. We're really trying to fix it. So sorry about that, but it's pretty comical. Lee, like I said, we're pretty casual, so she's leaning in. Hey, leaning in is part of the conversation, right? So thanks for that, Lee. And make sure you guys take some time to write in the chat, because we really do want to make this more interactive. And as I'm talking, people are going to be looking in the chat, and they're going to be interested to see where you're from, and we get kind of excited about that. So Shelby, you want to say hello next?
Yes, awesome. Hi, everyone. My name is Shelby O'Mara. I work on the University Relations team. I've been at Equifax for about 2 years now, and I focus on our internal relations, our full-time university hiring, and our Atlanta-based intern hiring. And my question for you all is, why did you sign up for this event, and what do you want to get out of speaking and hearing from Equifax?
Oh, that's a good question, Shelby. Yeah, let us know, because we want to make sure that at the end of this hour, you get something out of this. It's the whole reason why we're doing this. We really want you guys to feel like you got to know Equifax, and honestly, just got to meet some cool women that you can link in with and just expand your horizons here with your networking. So we'll make sure that this hour is what you need. So keep chatting away. Just so you guys know, I went to the University of Connecticut. I don't know if we have any Huskies on the line, but if so, that's crazy. Hello. And we'll have everybody tell you where they went to school as we go. But first, let's get this out of the way. Let's talk a little bit about Equifax and what our company is all about. What we do, we actually don't do puzzles. I wish, because I love jigsaw puzzles, and my COVID experience has been a lot of jigsaw puzzles. I'm just going to admit that freely. But what we do at Equifax is we are a global data analytics and technology company. So not that many words, but we basically, our product that we sell to our customers is data and data solutions and data insights. And so it's pretty cool in this world of data and analytics being sort of part of everyone's business at this point, whether you work in marketing or even HR or wherever you're going to end up. Data is key. It's incredibly valuable to our customers. And basically our customers, the majority of what we do is B2B. So we sell our data and solutions to other big companies like banks and telecom and the government, actually. So some of the things that we do at Equifax with all this data is we create great solutions for people. So I don't know about you guys, and this isn't really necessarily something that we do, but the way that I love to think about data is my Instagram account. So whoever is working the algorithm and crunching the data of who MEREDITH TROTTA is on Instagram is like my soulmate. I just am going to put it out there. Like, they get me. I always tell my husband, like, they get me better than anybody. They know exactly what kind of towel I want to have at the beach, exactly what kind of anti-aging creams I need to buy. I love, love, love them. So they basically have this picture of MEREDITH, and it's actually pretty good. But we do that too. Maybe not as exciting as the Instagram feed, but that's what we're doing for our customers. We're basically telling them who you are so that we can drive some financial freedom for you. So who at this point, and maybe just throw this in the chat, like, who at this point is getting like a credit card? Like, has anybody gotten a credit card, getting a credit card? I actually have $2 in college. So the one that's a junior just got her first credit card. Lots of conversations about how to do that in this household. So anyway, one of the things that we want to do is we want to make sure that we're giving the right solution to our customers about you, so that when you buy your first car or you make any kind of financial move, like finance your college education, you're getting a really good rate because you're a good credit risk. So that's kind of what we do here. And honestly, I'm not going to go into it too much more than this, just because the panelists are going to talk about what they do every day, and that's far more interesting than MEREDITH's take on Equifax. But I will just tell you this, and Lee, you can advance, is that I'll tell you why we do what we do here at Equifax. Is we have basically, this is our motto. This is what we say all day long. This is what keeps us going in our business, which is we are helping people live their financial best. So we're maybe not like a Coke that you can see or hold in your hands, but we are sort of the engine behind the economy that's driving some of the major moments of your life, from graduation to buying your first car. What else do we have? Taking a great trip that you're dying to trip, buy that first house. All those kind of great things we're doing for you here, kind of in the background at Equifax. So how do we do it? That's probably the next question, I would guess, which is the rainbow is on purpose, because basically how we do it is we recruit diverse, smart, collaborative, fun, interesting people who represent who our consumers are. And our consumers are actually the world. So our consumers are in countries all over the globe, and they're in the US, and they have just different backgrounds and different experiences and different genders and different ethnicities. And they're basically bringing with them all of their experiences and who they are. And that's kind of what we put to work here at Equifax to help us make sure that we're representing the customers that we serve. So we also believe very strongly in investing in our people. And if you guys are new, if anyone's new to job search, if like, put it in the chat, like, hey, this is my first time I ever signed up for an event like this. I don't even have any idea what any of this means. Totally get it. But one of the things that you should be looking for when you're starting your job search, and hopefully this is part of your job search, which is you're looking for an internship or a full-time job, is think about what the company how they invest in their people, right? So you want to also find a place where you can have meaningful work experience, like some of these people on the panel, and do some jobs that you really care about. But you also want a company that's going to say, hey, we recognize that you guys do great work, so we're going to pay you well. We're going to help you save for retirement. We're going to allow you to purchase some stock in our company. So, hey, all the work that you do to make our stock price go up, you're going to benefit from that, which is pretty cool. We're also going to make sure you have good health care and wellness, which is super important. We'll talk more about that in the program. And then just sort of all those other things. We also offer tuition benefits, which if you're going to continue your education, you can have some of that paid for by Equifax. One thing that I think is really cool is we do 2 paid volunteer days a year at Equifax. So you get that, so that you can go out in the world and make your mark and have your impact and still have a paid day of work. Down the line, we've got some paid parental leave. We got adoption reimbursement. And then I think the matching gift program speaks really highly for we're the kind of company that we want to care about what you care about. We're going to hear from you about all the things you care about and that you're involved with on campus. And when you come and you're working and you have some extra money and you want to actually put some money to those organizations, Equifax is going to match that. So they can sort of double your investment into what you care about. So that's just kind of a sense of how we invest in our people. We definitely put our money where our mouth is. So graduate programs. Another thing that we do at Equifax that I think is somewhat unique, some companies do this, some don't, is we offer some graduate development programs. So when you get your first job out of school, we don't just say, good luck, welcome to Equifax, Hope it works out for you. I know you have no idea what you're doing, but you'll figure it out, right? We don't believe that you're going to sort of make that huge adjustment from being a student your entire life to coming to work at our company and know how to do that. So what we do is we offer the next generation of Equifax professionals a program for the first 2 years for them to sort of learn a little bit more about the soft skills and the professional development aspects. So here are our different programs that we have. We have an internship program that's 12 weeks. Throughout that program, you're not only working for the company, but you're also getting some programmatic soft skills experience. We also have a rotational development program, which some of our panelists are involved with, some of them are not. And so basically those they'll talk about too. They're going to go through and rotate through a few different areas before they kind of go into a single track career. And then the last piece is that blue piece, which is what University Relations does. We do the internship program and the grad development program. And that's that 2-year post-graduation program where we sort of develop you into those next generation leaders. So moving along, because I've been talking for way too long, as I'm sort of introducing and moving us to the next segment, I just want to let you know that this is sort of what the program looks like. And again, this is one of the slides you can look at. It's kind of like a lot of information. And all the stuff that you see, like those ongoing opportunities, what we really try to do is have our grads who are in the program lead the program. And so you're going to meet the people who have been leading the program, both for our program and then things enterprise-wide for the whole company, globally even. So I'm going to sort of stop on that and move over. We'll start talking about the panel, and they'll talk about how this program is really fun too. We do a lot of team building. We have a lot of good times as well. But I really want you guys to get a chance to talk to each one of these speakers and hear from them about their experience. And they're going to ask you some questions about yourself as well. And after each speaker, we're going to give you an opportunity to have some conversation back and forth. Again, like they said at Way Up, if you're comfortable getting off mute, just raise your hand and we'll call on you, and you can actually just voice it instead of always just putting it in the chat. So I'm going to pass it along to Lee right now, and then she's going to take you through and introduce you to Elizabeth.
So Elizabeth, let's just hop on in and you tell us all about you, who you are, and what you've been up to.
Awesome. Thank you, Lee and Meredith. And hello, guys. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning from wherever you're calling from. We are so glad that you're here and hope you can learn a lot about us and about Equifax today. My name is Elizabeth, and I'm a Quality Analytics Associate with Equifax. I graduated from the University of Georgia in 2019 with degrees in Finance, International Business, and Spanish, and a minor in Sustainability. And I actually interned with Equifax in 2017, and then I joined full-time after I graduated from UGA into our graduate development program that Meredith was just talking about. And I'm a little bit of a guinea pig because I was the first GDP to transfer from functional groups. So initially I started with 2 rotations with our operations teams. And then in July, I transferred into our data and analytics team. And then within this rotational program, I was given lots of autonomy by our fearless leader, Meredith, to create my own grassroots movement. And I noticed during my internship that there was a huge opportunity to promote and cultivate a more sustainable workforce. So I decided to start there. I recruited a few of my peers, some of whom you will actually be hearing from later this evening. And we pretty much hit the ground running, which with a group that is now recognized as sustainability at Equifax, one of 6 official employee resource groups at the company. So that is a very exciting development in the short time that I've actually been full-time here with Equifax. But one of the most important things that actually propelled me to create this group was something that I was involved with on campus. So where you guys are now. I was in the Pi Beta Phi sorority, and during my last 2 years of undergrad, I joined the university's Office of Sustainability as their Greek life intern. And so in that role, I was responsible for motivating more than 7,300 sorority members and frat stars to recycle and compost within their houses. So I was like, if I can do that, if I can successfully do that, then influencing 10,000 of my professional Equifax peers couldn't be that much more difficult. So over the last year, my team and I have launched Equifax's first ever Earth Day celebration that reached employees across the globe. We've partnered with our real estate team to optimize and centralize our recycling infrastructure in one of our largest campuses. And we've launched monthly events with internal speakers, external speakers to come in and empower and educate our peers on what it means to live a sustainable life in the office and outside of the office. So that's a little quick snippet about me, but I'm excited to hear what your questions are and learn more about you guys.
Awesome. Thanks, Elizabeth. If you guys have questions for Elizabeth, please raise your hand or put them in the chat and we will get them answered. I have a question for Elizabeth to start. If you were a college student now and you weren't sure how to get involved, how to get that started, what would your best advice be?
That's a great question. And what I want to encourage all of you to do is follow what you're passionate about. So I know my university had some, like I would say a top 3 groups where like everyone seemed to be involved in that program. Like everyone was in Relay for Life, everyone did dance marathon. And I wanted to follow something that I was passionate about. So you'll see for my back on campus, I played the viola for 2 years in our university Philharmonia. I joined our Women in Business group at UGA and eventually was the president of that group because I chose to invest my time specifically in 1 or 2 groups that I knew that I could give back to and that I was interested in. So my advice would just be not to follow the crowd and to pick something that really resonates with you. I know at my university, we had over 750 student clubs, so I know it's overwhelming. I remember as a freshman, I actually went through the names of each of those student clubs and I was like, this one sounds interesting. This one I'm definitely going to cross off. And then some of those groups hosted, get to know us events. And then from there, I made my decision on which ones I was actually going to end up pursuing.
Awesome. Does anyone have any questions for Elizabeth? You can put them in the chat and we'll get them answered. My second question for you is, what was the biggest challenge in getting this started at Equifax, the Sustainability Resource Group?
I would say that we haven't had a lot of top-down support typically. So like I said, this was a grassroots movement and it was something that we were passionate about. But when you're coming in and you're 22, 23 years old and you're trying to tell everyone what to do, like, hey, sustainability matters, there's definitely some pushback along the way from what I would consider older generations who may not understand sustainability. They don't know what it's about. They don't know why it matters. So I think a huge obstacle that we've had to overcome is communicating the why for all generations, no matter, if you're young and progressive or if you're, older and you want to make a change, but you just don't, understand the right way how to do that. So I would say communication and getting that leadership support.
Awesome. Thank you, Elizabeth. I don't think there was any questions for you.
I saw one from Andrea. She said, it's amazing how Equifax can create an impact, but how do these things benefit Equifax? I don't have a complete answer, but I do just want to say, if you want to investigate something that's called the triple bottom line, there's, the connection and it's a Venn diagram between people, planet, and profit. So I would just encourage you to research that topic because it's really interesting how investing in your people, investing in the planet, and sustainability, and back into diversity in these resource groups will actually end up lifting your profit. So that's an interesting idea for you to consider.
Awesome. And we actually did just get another question for you. It says, what is one unexpected lesson you've learned since working at Equifax?
Oh my gosh, so many unexpected lessons. I would say one thing is don't be afraid to say you don't know. During my internship, I would be like, yeah, I've got that. I can do it. We got it. But then owning the fact that you don't know something can actually help you learn something and open the door for you to build connections with other people who might be experts in that area. So I definitely struggled with admitting that I didn't know something at first. But honestly, I think that's for the best, especially when you're just starting out in your career.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. We appreciate all that you do at Equifax. So we're going to move it now.
Can I jump in? I jump in just for a second, Shelby? I just want to say one thing. I was on a call today, right before this, I don't know if anyone was able to join it, with our CEO, Mark Bigor, and he was talking to another CEO, a female, Margaret Keene from Synchrony, which is a credit card lender, which you may have. But anyway, they were talking about a lot of these groups that the employees start, and they were really talking about them in a way that they're incredibly impactful. And they were talking about how, here these people have jobs, full jobs. Mark said jobs and a half, which I thought was very interesting. Like we have a lot of work to do, but yet they're willing to give of their time and their passion to impact the company and to give the senior leaders a place to go and say, hey, we want to start doing this. Can you help us? And so these relationships are very, very important, and they're very visible too. I just wanted to say, like, the work that Elizabeth has done and Prachi, who's on the call in sustainability, is very visible. So anyway, just Meredith interjecting here, but go ahead, Shelby.
Awesome, thanks. And we're gonna go now over to Prachi, and so I will let you take it over.
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Prachi. I am an operations analyst in our USIS business unit under operations. And I started here at Equifax about 1.5 years ago after graduating from Georgia Tech with a degree in economics, a certificate in finance, and a minor in Spanish. I started as part of our GOLD program, which is our operations rotational program. So in terms of our day-to-day at Equifax right now, I'm in my last rotation, actually working as part of the M&A team and operations. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. But through my 4 rotations here, I've learned tons of different skills like project management, process improvement, process mapping, automation, all sorts of things. So don't think that operations are just, project managers like I used to. There's actually such a broad scope here, which is something that this program has given me a lot more insight into. And outside of just my day job, I'm also part of that sort of inaugural group that helped to start Sustainability Equifax, which is the ERG that Elizabeth was just talking about. And also love to stay involved by getting involved in other graduate development program committees like our training committee, PR committee, and also through mentorship. And back on campus, as I mentioned, I was part of the School of Economics. So I was a research assistant at one point because I thought I wanted to go into research and get my PhD. That did not pan out clearly, but for the best. I was also on a dance team and was actually part of starting a podcast for the Ivan Allen College of Liberal Arts at Georgia Tech. So a little bit more about myself and the support I felt at Equifax. I remember my very first day, we had our onboarding presentation and Meredith told us at Equifax, just about anything is possible. You just have to ask. And I am happy to report that 1.5 years later, that is still 100% true. One of the coolest opportunities I've had that's been like a major growth opportunity happened pretty recently. As I mentioned, I'm on the M&A team. I was actually invited to be part of a 2-day kickoff as part of one of our major acquisitions that we just closed. And, I was in the room or the virtual room with, execs from both sides, like our president of our BU, the CRO, the chief revenue officer, the CEO of the other company. I was definitely the youngest person in that room, but it was such an eye-opening and insightful opportunity that I wouldn't have gotten to attend or contribute to otherwise. And, just other opportunities like, helping to start Sustainability Equifax and building it from the ground up into an employee research group with over 100 to 250 members has only been possible because I felt, empowered to advocate for myself here, but also been advocated for by, tons of leaders and peers and managers here, which I think is one of the biggest, perks of the culture of Equifax that I love. But that's a little bit about me. Love to hear any questions that you guys have and answer those and give a little bit more insight.
Thanks, Prachi. So you can tell at Equifax, we do lots of business because we have all the acronyms. So M&A, like merger and acquisitions, BU is business unit. She was talking a little bit, I think, about her GOLD is an abbreviation or an acronym for her your track, you would say, your rotational program. What does GOLD stand for again?
We're going with Graduate Operations Leadership Development Program. Sorry, I forget that everyone doesn't know the acronym.
No,
I didn't know when I got here either.
So businessy and just like killing it. So you mentioned that you had a mentor, I think, right? You're in the mentor-mentee program?
Yes.
Okay, so I'd love to hear maybe about a great relationship you had, or maybe something that was super impactful from one of those relationships, and how you got that mentor, especially if it was through Equifax.
Yeah, sure. So I actually had a mentor and I was also a mentor. So I got to be on both sides, which was really cool opportunity. So in terms of being a mentee myself, actually part of this operations rotational program, we were kind of assigned one when we came in. They were of like senior vice president level. So it was a great opportunity to get to see the company from kind of like a 10,000 foot view and see their take on things. And then be able to take that from like the top down and implement it into what I did and what I prioritized. And things like that. But then in terms of, just personal and professional development, that was also there as well. He would always tell me, things that are good for both personal and professional development. He got me into journaling, which I never thought I wanted to do, but he bugged me about it enough. And so I started, and I was like, you know what, you were right. So little things like that. And then in terms of being a mentor, I was able to take some of those skills and things that I learned from my mentor into, framing how I wanted to be a mentor. Obviously, I'm not at a senior vice president level, but we were mentoring our interns that are part of the Year Up program. And so it was great to be able to work on professional skills with them as well, like going through their resume, working on their LinkedIn profile. We actually had a little mock interview one day because she was going to have a mock interview coming up. So I helped her with that. And it really helps kind of frame my idea of how different people think when you get to know them on such a personal, but also professional level.
Awesome. And were you part of our GTP program? Were you a mentor there?
Yes. So I did have a go-to person. I think it was Melissa, actually, who you're gonna hear from in a little bit. But when they were gonna start, I was assigned to Melissa, and we talked a little bit, and I just helped her get kind of acclimated. I don't know, Melissa, you can let them know whether or not I was good at what I did. But we hopped on a call a couple of times and made sure that she was comfortable with getting started up at Equifax and her own rotational program.
And so just so you all know, something that we take really seriously here and that Meredith really leads is a formal mentoring program, and then Shelby leads our informal. So the informal, we call it a go-to person, which we shorten to GTP because we're Equifax, and if it's not an acronym, we don't care about it. So that's where you just ask somebody that's like a peer or a little bit older than you some questions, but it doesn't have to be super buttoned up. And then your professional mentor is where it's only a certain amount of time, and it's very scheduled out, and it's going to be somebody that is more senior, probably in both age and rank. Okay, well, thanks for sharing that, Prachi. We did have a question that somebody, I think, submitted for Elizabeth, but I would like to ask you.
So, Lee, there are some questions in the Q&A. Can you see that, or do you want me to read those off?
Okay, yes, I can see them. Do you want me to do the one from Rita that's specifically for Prachi?
They're all for Prachi, all three of those.
Oh, okay, cool. All right, so Prachi, in what aspects or way are you able to apply your knowledge in economics in your current role, especially since economics, whatever you want to call it, can be a very broad subject?
Yeah, for sure. I think economics, the way I would phrase it, to interviews or to explain to people is economics is, kind of technical and has that sort of math side to it in terms of econometrics, forecasting classes, statistics classes, but it is technically a liberal art. And so you also have to be able to think, and you have to be able to communicate what you get from that analytical, sort of stuff that you did, and be able to say, hey, this is what I did, this is what this means, and this is how I'm going to move forward with it. And I think that part has been super helpful because it's forced me to, have better communication skills and to be able to solution in my brain, but then also go to even leadership and be able to scale it up and say, these are the important points for you. This is what, this data means, even if it's not, something I necessarily queried, but it was given to me in a data set. But then I can also scale it down and talk to my immediate manager and say, here's all the details we need to think about, and let's figure out a problem or figure out a solution for this problem.
Awesome, thank you. So with me clicking answer live, Brandon, does that mean Rita's going to come off and ask her question herself?
Yes, so just hang tight, Rita, and I'm going to turn on your video, and you'll be able to ask your question live.
Great. And I'm keeping track of ones that are sort of general ones about Equifax, you guys. So we'll definitely make sure we cover those at the end too, about candidates and jobs and all that kind of good stuff.
All righty, Rita, you should be all set. You can unmute yourself and turn on your video at any time.
So hi, thank you for sharing your experiences so far. I'm just interested in knowing, what's the biggest challenge you face while working in the rotational program? If you could share that with us. Great, thank you.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Rita, for your question. That's a good question. and one I had when I was kind of applying and looking into the position as well. And I would say, I think one of the biggest challenges is that they are kind of short. The point of it is, to have a little bit of time in each place so you can have a really broad perspective when you finish and say, all right, this is what I'm good at, this is what I like, this is what I don't like. But through that, kind of the negative, or not necessarily negative, but, a little bit of a downside is you don't get the full feel for it always. A lot of times it feels like I do some work, but then I have to be like, all right, well, now on to the next rotation. So sometimes I don't get to see full projects through. And it's not that that work that I did isn't valuable or it wasn't something that I learned a lot from. It's just difficult to be able to say, I did all the work leading up to this automation, but then I unfortunately wasn't there to be part of the implementation. And it's not that you can't, stay in contact with your previous manager and say, hey, let me know how this goes or check in. But that's definitely been something that's difficult for me, is being able to ramp up and then ramp down and then ramp up again right afterwards.
Okay. We answered that one. All right. I think we should probably move on to the next person and then answer some more of these after. All right. So thanks, Rita, for your questions. And on to Melissa.
Hi, everyone. I'm Melissa McDaniel. I'm a finance RDP. I'm now realizing how many acronyms I was going to say. So EWS stands for Equifax Workforce Solutions. That is our St. Louis focused branch. So yes, I do work in St. Louis. All the other people I think are in Atlanta, but don't worry, still good friends. So yeah, what I do day to day, pretty much basic finance, a typical financial planning and analysis role. Headcount, month-end close, making sure people aren't spending too much money and that they're spending enough money and that our revenue is coming in good. Forecasting, making sure that people aren't, their budgets are still, normal. They're not, like I said, underspending, overspending, things like that. As you can see, my pictures aren't like I'm not with a bunch of people. That's because I only started in September in the middle of the pandemic. So haven't gotten to do much in person yet, but that's okay. I've still made these great connections. I didn't say where I graduated from. I graduated from St. Louis University, the Billikens, if you will, with a degree in finance, and I am in finance now. So yeah, my impact at Equifax, I think this is, like Prachi said, if you want to do something, just ask and it'll happen. I am the co-founder of our mental wellness committee within our GDP, meaning that we're focusing on awareness and spreading the resources of people for, their mental wellness, right? That can be physical wellness, any type of wellness, any type of, just being a human, right? I think especially right now, it's super hard within the pandemic. We're not allowed to go out and do as much as we used to. So it can feel kind of isolating, even if you are at home. Like I live with my family, but I still feel isolated, right? Even though we're all going through the same stuff. So my co-founder and I really wanted to get this going so that people within the GDP and hopefully one day will be as big as sustainability. So company-wide, but making sure people don't feel alone and that they have the resources that they need to, have good mental capacity and mental awareness, because when it all boils down to it, that affects how you work. You might not think about it, but it affects how you are as an employee and just a person overall. I am a member of multiple other committees, sustainability, our fun committee, which is exactly what it sounds like. We're there to have fun. Our social committee, which is more of a finance specific fun committee. So making sure that we're doing things virtually, virtual happy hours. I have a picture of our pumpkin carving contest, and then our virtual Friendsgiving where people made different meals and things like that to share with our group. So yeah. Back on campus, I was in a sorority. I was a part of Kappa Delta sorority and Her Campus, which is a global online magazine for women in college. They kind of wrote about whatever they wanted to write about, right? Like there was no restrictions, there was no limitations. And I was actually the treasurer for them. So translate it into my finance role pretty well. So yeah, I'm super excited to be here. I'm really glad that, UR is putting this on. I'm a big fan of UR, University Relations.
Thanks, Melissa. We're a big fan of you. So I have a question for you. And if you guys have questions for Melissa, please put them in the Q&A or the chat and we'll get them answered. But my first question for you, Melissa, is you're very new at Equifax. You just started in September. So what were some of the first steps you took to get this mental wellness committee together?
Yeah, so we had a great presentation put on by Meredith and all the people who started the different committees. Like, so for example, for sustainability, Elizabeth came and talked to the group about, joining. And I kind of saw that there was, we have all these great committees, but there was a little bit of like a hole of where mental wellness could fit in. So I reached out to one of the other girls at EWS, Indija, one of my BFFs, and we decided, hey, let's pitch this to Meredith. So we literally just got on a meeting with Meredith, had a few slides put together, some things we wanted to throw in there. And Meredith was like, heck yeah, we definitely need something like that in our program. So we just kind of went with that. We actually had our first like real event today. We had a meditation session. And I think it went really well. I think people enjoyed it, and we're going to continue to, make our presence known in the program.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. The event today was really cool. I think very much needed for myself and probably everyone else. Something that you might not try and get into on your own, but once you're kind of like given that opportunity, now I'm like trying to find other ways to meditate. So really awesome. Does anyone have any questions for Melissa? Oh, let's see. Sean is asking, how much variance analysis is done by the computer and how much is done by people?
That's a really good question. So obviously we get all of our numbers from the computer, right? So we're pulling those from our different systems. But when it shows a big variance, the computer can't explain it. You're going to be the person talking to the CFO or whoever's asking the question, being like, what went on here? So we do a lot of analysis with the general ledger. So what's being posted, different invoices that we were, paying for and things like that. So the numbers, do come from the computer, but the explanation and the storytelling behind what was happening is all us. So you can definitely, it's not just all computer. Like this job is there's going to be people in finance forever. I don't think a computer can just completely take over our jobs.
Awesome. Thanks, Melissa. Another question I have for you is, you had the first event today, and I think it was great, and I'm sure you'll get feedback on it. How do you decide what's the next step? Do you have things planned out? Are you going to, is it like you see how people felt? Because I think mental wellness could sometimes be touchy, or, some people don't want to be too open about it. So how do you go about that?
Yeah, we kind of have a skeleton of what we plan to do. Like you said, it is kind of touchy. So you have to gauge the interest of people after you do things. Ultimately, we don't want to just become a therapy session. We're not licensed counselors. That's a dicey situation to get into. So gauging interest, but also just having that bare bones skeleton of things we want to do in the future, and just listening to what people want to do. I've had people reach out about doing like a virtual yoga or, meditation sessions more often. It really just depends on what they want to do, because if we're not getting interest, we're not going to do it. It's just going to be me and Indija sitting on a screen talking. But so it's gauging interest.
Awesome. And then my last question is, you are new to the professional world. You just graduated and just started. How are you doing with taking on this ownership and leadership of something and driving a change at Equifax?
That's a good question. I think at first I was definitely super timid about it, but now just seeing the people or what people produce in the program, like sustainability, I keep going back to it because I'm a huge fan, but also it's done so much. It's started from our small group of people and is now company wide, right? So you kind of just have to look up to what other people do. Elizabeth and Prachi, you all have done amazing, and you have to say, I want to do that too. So following footsteps, getting guidance from people like that, getting people to back you like Meredith backed us, and kind of just jump in. Like you got to just do it. If you don't know, like if you don't do it, you're never going to know. But if you fail, you can say you tried.
Awesome. Great advice. And I'm so glad you have other people to look up to in the company, and also that Prachi was your go-to person. That's just really cool too to hear. So I'm sure that relationship is still going super well. All right. So thank you, Melissa, so much. We're going to jump now to Peyton.
Hi, everyone. My name is Peyton Reisinger. I graduated from Georgia Tech in May of 2019 with a double major in public policy and economics. I am currently a data and analytics rotational development associate. My official job title is data scientist. I love it. It makes me sound so fancy. But I am actually within the USIS department, and USIS stands for US Information Services or Systems. And we're basically B2B. So our clients are all going to be specific companies that come to us and say, we want to work with you. We want your data. We love your data. Let us buy your data. Or they want to sell to us, and we do that as well. So a couple of my main projects at Equifax are listed at the top. I'm not going to walk through all of them, and some of them may not mean very much sense. But in the essence of what my role does is we take all of the data assets that Equifax has. So many, and we're adding more and more every day. I can't keep up. I don't know if anybody else can. But there's always more data to touch, which is really exciting. And basically, I take that data and I provide creative solutions for the customers that we partner with, and also with the business itself, or with Equifax ourselves. So some of it is R&D. So looking at what data assets we have and saying, can we use this in this way? Can we make it any better? Is it all up to par? Just how can we make this data better? And is there maybe some potential to be making a profit off of this data that's sitting in a database that we could then turn into real revenue and solutions? And the other part of it is, customers will come to us and say, hey, we have this need, but we don't have the data you have. We don't have the skills, the people, the manpower to do what we need you to do. So can you take it over for us and basically provide us with those really innovative data-driven solutions? So some of the things we do are, predictive modeling, trying to determine, good customers, bad customers when it comes to marketing. We also do data asset valuation. So how much is this data worth? What should we sell it for? Things like that. Also some general data quality management. A lot of the data that we have isn't actually Equifax data. We host a lot of third-party data. So we have to report to auditors, right? This data is up to par, and we are being trusted data stewards with this data. One of the really cool projects that I got to work on was at the beginning of COVID, when everything was starting to shut down. The White House actually said, where are we on this? What is this supposed to look like? How do we best prepare for the economic, conditions that are about to happen? So my team actually worked on providing the research and the data to provide to the White House for economic decision making. It was a really stressful 3 weeks. It was go, go, go. But knowing that I had that impact on a national scale was really impressive. And being pulled into that project was probably my biggest bragging point thus far. Some of the skills I developed are listed there. I just want to be super clear, because the world of data science is like crazy and always growing. So those are the skills that I've really gotten to develop while being a rotational development associate. And then my impact at Equifax, I like to get involved in a lot of things. Some may say that it's maybe my biggest curse, but my biggest benefit at the same time, right? So one of the things that I do is I lead the Graduate Development Program Training Committee. And that's something I'm really passionate about, because I'm all about empowering other people with the skills that will make them adaptable and flexible. When I first started here at Equifax, my first manager, he actually told me, he said, you need to find the need and fill it. And that's how you show you're valuable to the company. That's how you add value. That's how you can actually make that change at the company, is take the job that nobody wants, knock it out of the park, do great, and build your skills, learn stuff, and show that you're super capable at the same time. So the training committee really allows me to do that. We host training sessions, soft skills, hard skills. We did, how should I be investing my money? Which I still don't know. Some people are, Fidelity helped us out with that one. So 401ks, you'll learn about those too. It's not just limited to your job skills. All the way to, Tableau training, to communication through improvisation, right? Like learning how to say yes and, or, just collaborating in a very open way. Some other things that I've gotten to take part of is the Graduate Development Program Fund Committee. That was great. I love planning events for people to just come, laugh. I mean, we've done in person prior to COVID, and then we carried that through to virtual events in the, shutdown times and the virtual times. So we were able to keep the fun going. I also worked with creating some onboarding materials for the USIS DNA Rotational Development Program, and I'm a part of the Women's Career Development Network, which is an enterprise-wide women's growth network. So there are some of my things that I did back on campus: a sorority, resident advisor, GT 1000 freshman orientation leader. And all of those really just speak to me wanting to help empower other people to do the best that they can do. Because I think I actually learn more while doing all of these things to help others. So I think it's really a win-win for everyone involved. So that is about me. I would love to have any questions, data scientist or personal, or professional personal.
So while you all are submitting those questions into the Q&A, Peyton, what's something that surprised you about the job? Like, I'm kind of thinking from the lens of like expectations of, oh, I just got hired to be a data scientist versus reality. And I want to hear the fun take on it, and like the good one, and then the bad one, like a bad surprise too.
Okay. Well, the good surprise was that I really thought that I was under prepared for this. People always ask the questions of like, what technology should I be learning? How many languages should I know how to code? You know, trying to acquire all these skills. And those are all great. And those will really help you in your career. But Equifax, especially the DNA department, gives you the time to learn and really learn those skills. So they're never going to throw you into anything and expect results, you know, in a week without knowing that you know what you need to know. So if you need some time to learn, you know, Python or whatever, if you need some time to learn those skills, you just ask your manager and they're like, yeah, sure, we can work with that. You know, we can make sure that you are well equipped with what you need to get the ball rolling on this project. So it was really pleasant surprise. I was shaking my boots the first time I started. You know, I showed up. There were people who maybe had more relevant majors, or, you know, were like, I studied all these different languages. And I was like, I know SQL, let's go. So that was a pleasant surprise. But maybe a not so great one was I was not prepared for like org changes and manager changes. I really had to get comfortable with that. So within my first month, my manager quit and left the company. So I got a new manager. I finally got good. You know, we planned our communication styles and we're going to meet weekly, and it was all great. And then she left the company. So then I had to adjust to a new manager. And then 3 months into that, I got a new manager. So that was a little overwhelming. It's natural. It comes with every job. I'm sure everybody has that point in their career. Maybe it was a little scarier because I was, you know, fresh out of the gate and brand new, but it really taught me how to be adaptable and flexible. So I guess there's a silver lining to everything.
Very nice. That was a great response for being so on the spot. Before we get to Kushbu's question and let them come on video and ask, I did want to ask you, was there anything you wish that you had done in college to prepare you for this role, or for like the corporate environment that maybe you knew you missed out on or should have done?
That's a great question. So in undergrad, I had to work to help provide for myself to pay my way through undergrad. So that really provided a detriment to my flexibility of getting involved as much as I would have liked it to have. But I would say that maybe something that I wish that I could have done is just take, I was really afraid to go to like data scientists or like women who code or things like that, just because I felt like I didn't know enough. And there were, you know, I went to Georgia Tech, there were really great computer scientists and coders there. And I just felt really intimidated, but I think I should have just said, you know, Peyton, you're valued. You may not know as much as they know, but you were, you know, they were there just a couple of years ago. It just took you a little bit longer to figure out like where you wanted to go and to actually get there. And that's okay too. So just, you know, don't let fear kind of keep you back from getting the skills that you want or need, or the training, you know, that you need.
Hey, Peyton,
Yeah.
I have a question for you. So the Women's Career Development Network is one of the 6 employee network groups that we have. So how are you involved in that? And what's something that you've been involved in? What's an event that has happened that you thought was really important or impactful?
That is great. So I know that Elizabeth actually does a lot more with the Women's Career Development Network. I think I really am a participatory member. I show up. I try to soak it all in. I'm like a sponge, and then I leave at the end. I think Elizabeth might be a little bit more involved. But I do remember the first event, the most memorable one for me was the first event we went to. And I think it was about speaking up or just learning to feel comfortable speaking up as a woman in the workplace. And that really spoke volumes to me that there was, a group full of women who were all, we were building like teamwork, like the marshmallow on the top with the noodles and you can't let it fall. It threw me out of my comfort zone. I was screaming like at all these women I didn't know. We were all screaming at each other. But it really taught us, how to find our place and know that it's okay to speak up and work together and collaborate. You don't need to be quiet. So that's really one of the most memorable events for me.
Awesome. And it, too, for everyone who's on this, there could be a lot of groups that you could just be a part of and attend the events and just educate yourself and not things that you necessarily have to, take ownership in, or you could take those steps to get there and start by just being an ally to a group and showing up and learning. So it's really awesome that you get to do that.
Alrighty. I know we're coming up on like about 6 minutes left, so we'll probably only take one question. But after we get this question asked to you, Peyton, if you want to respond to any of these in the chat, you're welcome to. So Brandon, I'm going to let you do your thing.
All right. Well, if anybody wants to ask their question live, feel free to utilize the raise hand function. If not, I know we have a lot of questions in the Q&A.
One of the cool questions on here from Rita says, what would you say is your favorite office tradition at Equifax?
So something we did prior to COVID was we would do like birthday lunches. We actually did like a lot of lunches. We really didn't even need to have an excuse to have a group lunch. But the birthday lunches were really special because you got to invite other people that were outside of your team. It wasn't your usual group of 5 or 6. It was, the person that you may be friends with whose birthday it is, and then their team, and then their team of teams, So that was really nice. One, because you got a lot of social time and a lot of lunches, but also you got to, meet other people within the org. You got to see what they were working on. You learned more about skills that were being developed, things like that. But also you just had that sense of camaraderie that I think we're all missing a little bit right now. So I'm really excited for those to go back. But we even do them virtually now. So that's really nice too, just reconnecting, remembering that we're humans, and taking time to step away from our desks just to connect on a personal level over like all of the restaurants that are located near our Atlanta office.
So one thing I'd love to jump in and just invite any of the panelists who see a question for themselves in the Q&A to just type an answer right now if you want, so we can kind of get to some of the bigger, broader questions that I think everybody has on their mind, like where are the jobs? What do I need to get a job at Equifax? Because I'm sure you're all dying to work at Equifax now, right? That you've met the people. So Lee, why don't you, or Shelby, I'm not sure, Lee's mic is working so great. Do you want to tell them about staying in touch with us? And I think one of the questions that people asked were, how do candidates stand out? I know you and Lee could speak volumes on that since you do our recruiting. And then I would just maybe answer one of the questions, which is, how does Equifax stand out from other employers? I think probably one of the things that differentiates us is the program, obviously. I would point out for our men on the line, there's plenty of men who are having impact in this group. We just thought we'd take it through the lens of women to celebrate National Women's History Month. But we have some great guys in the program as well, who are doing great stuff. I think the program is one, and I think the thing that somebody had said, maybe Melissa or Prachi, about if you come here and you have an idea, whether it's in your professional job or in the program, and it's a good idea, we will support you to make it happen. We are all about innovation. We're all about what you're passionate about, what you care about, and bringing that to our community at Equifax. And that can translate not just in our program to our employees, but it can translate into what we do as a company with data. If you're passionate about something that you don't think is being well served in the world of data, Tell us, what is it? How can we do better? So I think that's one thing that I really have enjoyed about Equifax. I always say it's a little bit like the Wild West. Like people are like, hey, I want to start that. I'm like, awesome, let's start it. Let's do it. Let's do it until someone tells us we're not allowed to. That's always kind of how I take a lens at this. So hopefully that answers your question about what makes Equifax different. And then if Shelby and Lee, you want to talk about what you look for in candidates and how they can keep in touch and when the jobs are going to be open this fall, in August, I guess actually would be the date, that would be great.
Yeah, so our summer internship program for this year is full at the moment, but if you want to submit your interest through Way Up and get first access to when our new roles open in August, please do that. We will be coming to those submit interest lists to contact you guys about our new roles when they open, which will be in August, and that's going to be for summer 2022 internships, full-time roles, the rotational development program, the graduate development program, all of that. So please submit your interest.
And we may have jobs that come up along the way as well. So this may not be like the end of there's no more jobs at Equifax for university students. We're very agile in our company, so we move and we bend to sort of what's needed. What else? Was there any other burning questions that we wanted to talk about before we parted ways with this group who spent an hour with us? Thank you guys so much. That's so nice of you. Panelists, is there anything else that you wanted to comment on or say?
There was one question, I think from Adelia, that said, what was something that really attracted you to work with Equifax? And I mentioned I interned with Equifax, and then I actually ended up interning with a different company. It was a very large bank, and realized through that experience how much impact I was able to make at Equifax, a company of about 10,000 employees versus a very large corporation of 250,000 employees. Even as an intern, even as an entry-level employee, I was trusted to do these major large projects, and it made me feel like I really had something to bring to the table and that I was valued. So that's something that I think is really, really valuable about Equifax, is that you can make a real difference. You won't just be stuck here, making PowerPoints or doing whatnot. We need strong people and strong candidates like you guys to help support us. But the people at the end of the day are always number one for me. I'm really close with all the ladies you see on this call. So it's so exciting to be here with all of them and help, share with all of you and answer your questions. So thank you guys for coming tonight.
Yeah, and I know it's the top of the hour, but if I could just leave you with two things. One is that we are going to have another session closer to the fall recruiting season, and it will be about nailing your technical interviews, which may be really important for you guys as you're about to head out into some interviews with some other companies as well. So we hope that if you keep in touch with us on Way Up, that we could invite you to some other programs that we're going to have and hopefully have some more fun along the way and get to know each other. And I also, in closing, I just want to say the idea that you have to know everything to apply to a job is not true. You don't have to have every qualification. You don't have to have experience with every single aspect of the role. Every role you're in, you should have some room to grow. So when you're looking to apply, don't stop yourself because you're afraid you're not qualified. That's what Shelby's for. That's what Lee's for. They're going to figure out if you're qualified or not, and they're going to set you up for success, even in Equifax, where you're going to apply to. But as you go to seek your career, start in a place of yes and let the world say no. Don't say no to yourself. Plenty of people will tell you no in life, but just don't be one of them. So really embrace all these things that these ladies have talked about tonight, which is, know your value, know your worth, don't be intimidated, get out there, get your resume together, start networking, go to these events, and then link in with us. We'd love for you to follow us on LinkedIn. We'd love to see you on Instagram. We have all sorts of social media channels. We'd love to stay in touch. So that's it for me. I'm just really grateful that you guys came on, and I'm just wishing you all the best in the last bits of COVID, with the light at the end of the tunnel, and then in your careers as you move forward.